The call to order the Board of Water Commissioners for a meeting at 401 Central Street, 6 o'clock. Keith, were you ready? I'm sorry. For November 8th, 2016. Let me mute my phone there so it's all set. I got the times. Forgive me, I got a cough drop in my mouth because I just don't want to hack non-stop. A little bit of a cold. First announcement, outdoor water ban use is banned. We're still in a drought situation, 7/24. So that continues. As soon as that ban is lifted, we'll inform everyone. And Mary Beth, you want to introduce your new person?
Sure, but did you open up citizens' query?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I got the order backwards. So we'll do citizens' query first. Pull it down. So it's next thing is citizens' query is now open for people that have questions. Going. Okay, we'll close citizens' query at 6:09, and then we'll move down to the welcome of the administrative assistant.
Yes, we have Catherine Bento, who is our new administrative assistant. She's here tonight. She's been taking the minutes at the water board meetings and helping me out in the office at Central Street. She started on Monday, was her first day, so today's her second day.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good luck. No. These meetings are brutal now.
Are we going to have regular hours now?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We will be back to be open. That's a good point.
Should
Thank you
announce
very
that.
much. We're going to be open Monday through Friday now, from 7 to 3:30. We do close for lunch from 11:30 to 12:30. Thank you.
Not the man. Not like the Raleigh Post Office.
No. All right.
Super. Congratulations. So welcome to Raleigh.
So our first appointment is at 6:15. We're a little ahead of time now. Excellent. An appeal request for abatement, 111 Leslie Road. Give me a chance to look this over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to proceed, or
Just give me a second to finish reading, which is okay.
I'm just going to go through that? I just gave you a copy
Oh.
of it.
Okay, and just identify yourself for the camera.
My name is Dennis Snow, okay, and I am the resident, along with my wife and 2 children at 111 Leslie Road. The first exhibit, if you will, I'd like to submit is the letter of denial that I got from the water department relative to an appeal that I had previously filed on October 21st. The letter of denial says a lot of things, but I would like to highlight what it says relative to the purpose of a true abatement is to award relief to a customer for a catastrophic event that was unpreventable. Okay, so basically what I've gone ahead and done, and I said, I'm just going to read verbatim from my exhibit, if you will. According to the letter of denial, the request for abatement, quote, does not meet the criteria for abatement, unquote. The letter of denial further states, quote, the purpose of a true abatement is to award relief to a customer for a catastrophic event that was unpreventable, unquote. I would like to point out Webster's New World Dictionary, 3rd College Edition, defines catastrophic as, quote, the culminating event of a drama or of a tragedy, a disastrous end, any great or sudden calamity, disaster, or misfortune. Webster's New Dictionary does not define what unpreventable is. However, it does define preventable and states, quote, to act in anticipation of an event or a fixed time, to stop or keep from doing something, to keep from happening, unquote. So it stands to reason unpreventable would mean the inability to act in anticipation of an event, to stop or keep from doing something, to keep from happening, unquote. So I bring to your attention in regard to the Webster's definition of catastrophic, that it does not set any parameters or measurements pertaining to the type of event, size of event, victims of the event. It simply states culminating event of a drama or a tragedy. Similarly, with Webster's definition of unpreventable, it does not specify who, what, where, when, how, or why to act. It merely states, quote, unable to act in anticipation of an event. To briefly restate the facts of the event of August 21st, my wife and I were away from college visiting our daughter at college. Upon our return, we discovered a water line rupture, subsequently learning in excess of 11,000 gallons of water, the cost of which was in excess of $500, escaped. Now, based on the preceding information in regard to the definitions of catastrophic and unpreventable, I submit to the board we did in fact suffer such an event. The water line rupture was a tragedy, and that's in quotes, a sudden disaster, also in quotes, that could not be kept from happening. Could not be kept from happening because we were not home. Thank you for your time and consideration. We look forward to a favorable decision.
No, we looked at this. I just need to re-look. I've got some of the documentation here with me.
Excuse me, Chairman Manning?
Mm-hmm.
I put up on the screen the abatement process. If you read that last sentence at the bottom of the screen, the consumption must be in excess greater of 150% of 40,000 gallons above their normal average consumption.
Mm-hmm. Before we start the abatement process, we'll consider it. And this was 17,000 gallons, which is maybe about a little more than a quarter. About a third of that. So, just want to look at this?
Yeah.
I looked at it last week.
What's that?
I looked at it last week. It hasn't changed, so
Yeah.
I came in the middle, so.
Yeah. He handed out a statement, which you have. Handed it in. Any discussion or input?
I don't think it comes close to the criteria.
Unfortunately, no. I mean, obviously, by the terms of the dictionary definition for Mr. Snow, it clearly was a catastrophe and a tragedy, and was not preventable from his perspective. But I think we've got a set of
Parameters that we operate
parameters
under.
that dictate what.
And while 17,000 gallons is a lot, the marker that we start for abatements is at the 40,000 gallon mark. That's really where we look at what's catastrophic or 150% greater usage. I mean, because if we don't have some markers to follow, then there's no rules. It's make it up as you go. And so we try to, enforce it consistently and then use some common sense as well. But again, 17 versus 40, it's not even close to where if it was, last week we did one, it was like 38, 2,000 gallons. That's almost right on the mark. but for this, it's just not close.
Why wasn't I told this in the beginning? It could have saved everybody a lot of time. Why wasn't it in the letter that I received?
I think that's a fair
This is
point.
bullshit.
Well,
No need for profanity, however, you're right, the letter should probably include this, but it is also out on our website for the documentation about filing an abatement. So it's not that it's not available, it is there.
isn't it in the abatement form? Isn't that statement in the abatement form, the calculation?
I don't recall, I'd have to look at the form.
No, it's not.
I would suggest that a copy of this get given out with every abatement request.
Request, okay.
I think that would be fair. Because you don't know about
It's
it.
gotten anywhere in there, okay?
On the form? Yeah, okay, and so as what Mark just said, Commissioner Emery, we should probably include that, and we'll do that going forward.
Well, great, so I'm here to educate you folks on how you do your business.
Well, I don't consider it education, but I consider it a learning process. And we try to make it better every time. Unfortunately, you have to suffer that.
And there's no exceptions to that rule? When was that rule written? Yesterday?
2 years ago, it was vetted.
And then the board re-voted on the policies, the booklet, back in the spring of 2015.
At least a year.
November 24th of 2015 was when it was approved.
Well, you know what? I'm not gonna pay the bill, and you guys can do what you want, okay? Shut my water off, whatever.
Well, that will result in a lien at some point, so.
Okay, thanks, buddy.
Okay.
So, for the record, if it's 11, if the comment is 11,000 gallons in excess, then that's $2,200. That's $220. That's not 500. So I think
The numbers aren't.
the numbers don't make sense.
Mhm.
His numbers don't make sense.
But he does have a good point, that, you know, that policy we
I
probably.
didn't realize that it wasn't given to him, so.
Form, so just let's include
Yeah,
that
like I said,
policy. Every time someone asks for the form, we'll give them that as well.
And we do have some customers that apply for abatements that go online and print the application themselves to fill out.
How do we put a marker in there that say, you know, please download the policies prior to submitting this? Let's amend that.
What
Or,
does that mean? The leak that was caused down in the treatment plant where over 1 million gallons of water was lost? Is that why I'm paying for this? Huh?
It's absolutely unrelated, and that was covered by the insurance for the
Yeah,
town.
okay. But still, did anybody's head get rolled? No. Did anybody get fired? No.
It was an act of God. It was
Well, this was an
fitting,
act of God.
a fitting, well, it was also a million gallons.
Needless to say, I'm upset, okay? All right? And I think you could have a little bit of room from your rules. I'm on a fixed income. Good night.
Anything else with this? Mary Beth, anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
Move on to the next appointment, 6:30. An abatement request for 320 Central Street. William Cuddy. Okay.
I don't know if I applied as well, under that law. I don't know the gallons that I had, and I do apologize. I'm not as equipped as he was, and that was a pretty simple process.
Yeah, let's just take a look at the documentation.
Excuse me, Chairman Manning?
Yep.
I just noticed that the abatement calculation spreadsheet is not, we did not receive that.
Right.
So it's not with your information.
Do you have it?
I don't. That's something that Penachuk does for us.
Yeah.
well, I think we can help Mr. Cuddy and indicate whether or not this is likely to be at the margin or likely to get declined.
Looking at the usage, it's hard to say. It's like 7,000 and 13, 16, 29. And without the appropriate documentation, we can't really.
All I can say is the 2 months that they were questioned for me were, one month was a little over $1,200.
Yeah.
And my bill seems to be ranging anywhere from 3 to 4. It's probably a fair guesstimate.
Yeah.
And then the following month I had 1,100. Saying all that, I did address the problem, because when I was shutting off my water, I could hear something. But when I heard it, I didn't think it was in where it was. So I ended up calling a plumber, actually, Main Street Plumbing, and he came down, and I think I might be reiterating now, but he had saw water in my sump pump hole. And that was the only indication to me that there was something wrong with the system. And in that prior to that hole, there is a water line coming in that hole that leads over to my stable.
Well, Mr. Cuddy, my rough calculations, provisional calculations, not to go to be definitive at this point, but I think it looks like you're over month to month, 2015 to 2016 for your August bill, you are above 150% of what you used previously. So you would be subject to abatement calculation, which will rebate some proportion of that, just as rough.
Without the
estimation.
appropriate document, it's subjective, but we're missing a document. Not your fault.
Yeah.
Not your fault. We need a calculation table from Penachuk, and it didn't get produced in time. So you don't have to attend the meeting. The next meeting is the 29th. But, we can certainly take this up. And it'd be great if you could make it, but you don't have to be here for it.
I didn't know if I could make it this evening as well, but I made
Yep.
it.
And if you're not here in the beginning, and if you come late, we'll certainly readdress it when you come.
Okay,
It's not draconian that you have to be at 6:05.
okay.
We just try to get these done first.
I know,
so.
if I'm gonna make it, I usually don't have time.
Yeah. So I mean, I would like to put it back on. We can get that from Penachuk, Mary Beth.
Yes.
Yeah, and like I said, just doing it without having all the data here, it looks like it would probably. Don't quote us on that. But we, contrary to some people's opinion, we do try to do our best with this stuff. And we'll get that document and we'll go through it. So if I could ask you to come back.
I don't know if this is important to you at all or not, but I also, in here, I also bought another toilet, because I wasn't sure, because Mary Beth gave me a couple of pills, and some of the color did leak into my toilet. It probably took about 8 to 10 minutes for that to happen. But I mean, if you'd like, you can have.
So we get the Main Street, I think that's included, the bill from Main Street Plumbing and Heating.
I don't know if you want that.
So
I don't know if that's
is the leak,
We have
Mr.
to.
Cuddy, is your leak fixed now, to the
Yes.
best of your
It cost
knowledge?
me like $4. I believe it's fixed. Saying that to you, I honestly don't know that, to be honest to you. I mean, maybe it might be something that I should return maybe next month. I mean, I don't know that. To be 100% sure. Due to
So-
the water that we have now, the hole is full. Obviously, the water tables come up.
Yeah.
So I can't answer that with a 100% yes.
But you should have received at least one more bill for this, the last
That was the
bill.
$1,100 one. I don't
The
believe it-
last bill was for September, so you should be receiving a bill, should have received a bill for October. Well, that's not come out
That
yet.
hasn't come, we just signed the
Okay.
commitment for it right now.
So
So do I have one or don't I?
You
you,
don't.
I do.
not yet.
No, they'll be mailed on
Okay.
the 10th.
So I would know by the next meeting if that
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
100% fixed or not.
Oh, yeah, and actually, guys, look at, look at the second page here, from 8/31 to 9/30, and this has got 2016 and 2015.
Right, that's what I was calculating.
Yeah, and if you look,
17,000
it's
versus.
13, 16, 29 versus, well, the 19 is, maybe that's where it started, yeah. So 7, 5, 6, and then you must have had some whopper bills there. And in August, it really went up,
Well, it started in July,
yeah.
but in July, it looks like it's not quite, it wouldn't have hit the 150% mark. It's less than 100%. But in August, it was over 150%.
And then why does it go down in October, November, December?
No, that's the seasonal usage in the
Yeah.
preceding year.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
there's
that's-
a
I'm sorry, yeah.
seasonal usage, and then obviously
Yeah.
you have a pretty heavy summer usage. But this was very heavy summer
Yeah,
usage.
no, we need to
I
get
was
that
kinda
other.
shocked when I saw the bill on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we need to
And
get that
I
other.
actually asked if I
document.
need to pay the bill, and then I found out it was a 14% interest rate if I hadn't, so, so it sort of left a little hole in the
Well,
bank account. And that's sort of why I was here.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that. That makes a great deal of sense to follow through and check the next bill. It looks like the calculation should meet our requirements, so there will be some relief, but it's not 100% relief. So just so you understand that it's a proportion of it, right?
Yeah.
So, but you'll see you'll get a kind of a clear calculation of the way what we do.
Okay.
So,
I took enough of your time, I think.
No, it's okay. You okay coming back?
Sure.
Thank you.
Appreciate
And,
it.
and we'll get that document. And we'll know a lot more. Thank you.
take it easy, Bill.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to old business. And do you want to delay that and see if Rob
If
comes back?
you don't
or-
mind, I mean, he's.
Do you think he'll come back, or
I
is he going to
do.
be tied up?
I do think he'll come back.
Okay. So we'll delay old business number 1 to see if Rob can make it. He can speak to that. Business number 1, business number 2, staffing update, contract operations. Physical contract. Oh, excellent, good. I had gotten a couple of other contracts through some networking and asked Mary Beth to put them in your packages so you guys could see these too. And to see how those are done. One of them has some wastewater in it too. It's Leominster and Gloucester. But I want to take some time and go through those. Not tonight.
They're hot off the press.
You don't have a Spark
That's a lot of
Notes?
reading.
You don't
I
have a
just went through
Spark
the
Notes
Salisbury one
version?
last night, actually.
Okay. So we have that, and then from a staffing update.
As I mentioned earlier, we have Catherine Bento. We filled the administrative assistant's position.
Yep.
Robert Gray started on Monday, the 7th as well. He's filling the position of distribution working foreman.
Yep.
And we're actively advertising for all of the vacant positions. Last week, we had the janitor resigned, so we will be asking the selectmen to lift the hiring freeze, and they accepted his letter of resignation, so we will be at some point going back out to advertise for that position as well.
What about the contract operations that we signed?
Yes, so this is some good news. We've been already using the contract operations, small water systems. They've been providing us with one operator. It's been coming. They're excellent to work with. They've been very flexible. And I've only had them here on last Monday and this Monday. That's our busiest day right now to help out with sampling and some other things. And then as we get the schedule together, we'll be working with Bob Gray out in the field, exercising gate valves and doing some other things as we come up to speed with, what we're going to be actually having them do. Kind of sort of to get the best bang for our buck. So I know we agreed to 20 hours a week, but right now, we've only had
If it's
about
not needed, there's no
6
sense
or
in
8.
spending the money.
No, and
T&M, use what you need.
and exactly. So the thing is that if we don't fill these positions, we have that cap of 10,000. If we need extended help into February, if we're not using the full I'm gonna be monitoring that $10,000, that contract, not to go over what the board approved. But I think,
I thought we had a time limit of 7 weeks.
because the 7 weeks is what I've calculated out, we couldn't go
Oh,
over
okay.
10,000. So at this point, if we're using them 8 to 10, 12, it's gonna vary depending on what's
Okay,
going
so
on.
You can use
It will,
longer.
it will prolong, instead of 7 weeks, it might be 3 months.
I didn't know if that's statutory. Okay, that's just
Yep.
money wise.
Yep.
It
so
was
that's
just
good.
what we calculated out.
Yep.
Sure, good. Okay. Anything else on that?
Nope.
Welcome back, Mr. Gray. All right, old business number, wait a minute.
So is there any other staffing
Three.
update, Mary Beth, in terms
I
of
don't know.
postings and responses to the postings?
I have not heard anything from Debbie Egan, the personnel officer, regarding any new applicants that have come in for positions.
All right, item number 3 is discuss and vote to have one of the commissioners work with the superintendent to revise the water treatment operator 3, distribution working foreman, assistant distribution working foreman, and water superintendent and chief operator job descriptions. Why do we need to revise those?
I've been meeting with the personnel board, and then the Board of Water Commissioners voted to allow Commissioner Cullen to attend that one meeting, but it looks like it's gonna be an ongoing process. So I thought the board should vote to have a commissioner work with me. We've been doing some things, but I think you should take a vote, because you only voted for that one time.
We want to keep doing that?
Sure.
Be the personnel subcommittee?
I misunderstood that original vote, and I thought that because there was a whole slew of job
Mhm.
descriptions that the personnel board wanted to kind of had nits and nats to
Mhm.
change.
Yep.
So yeah, the quick answer to your question is yes, I'm
Okay.
willing to.
I'll make that motion. And you can second it.
You need a second.
Well,
Motion
am
for you
I-
to continue in that position. I'll second it.
Yeah.
All in
Aye.
favor? Aye.
What do I vote when I'm the
Sure.
subject?
Yeah, there's only 3 of
then
us.
Aye.
He's doing a great job, by the way.
One meeting? Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
been a
'cause that
big,
was-
it's been a big
better
help.
than we
I can
responded
tell you
to for
that
just one
Larry
meeting,
White
if I
is
remember
worse
right.
than my English teacher in terms of grammar and punctuation.
You're on camera.
I mean, he's good. I mean, I don't mean worse in the sense of not good. I mean, the exact opposite.
No, I know.
He puts a whole new meaning to dotting I's and crossing T's.
Yep. Definitely a Finn guy.
I will tell you, it actually has been, working with Bernie, it's actually been a huge help to me, time-wise, because, so it's been great to work with Bernie on those.
It's good to hear that. Some input, excuse me, from the,
Do you want some water?
no, I get cough drops up here. I've been talking all day and just kind of dried out. And now you can watch me undo a cough drop painfully slowly. Jeez.
Do you need a hand job?
Yeah, it's been in my pocket and it's kind of
Well, I
melded to
know.
the paper. There we go. Good Lord. All right, sorry, folks. All right, so that's number 2, number 3. 4 we'll put off a little bit. Oh, wait a minute, number 3. 1 is what we put down to 4, sorry. 4. Item 4 is in order. Vote to have the chairman sign the revised distribution working foreman, assistant distribution working foreman job descriptions. And are these the ones that you worked on?
Yes, I mean, the only substantive change in them was some reshuffling of the information, but one is that both of these positions are in the bargaining unit, so that's one thing. The second area was in the education requirements, it was just high school, because unless we were going to specify the type of college degree, it made no sense to include it. Obviously, if we get somebody with a college degree, then they may score out better than, all other things being equal, they would score out better than somebody who didn't. So, and that was just some resorting. The only other substantive issue that the personnel board raised, and I let Mary Beth know, is that they believe that the assistant foreman should be supervised by Mary Beth in a general terms, that they would receive kind of daily work orders from the foreman, but their view of who was actually responsible for the assistant district foreman was in fact Mary Beth. Now, I don't know what their personnel.
Right, that crosses a line with respect to operations of the department. In my opinion, you've got a working foreman here, and the assistant would roll up on an org chart to the foreman, the foreman to Mary Beth. So if they wish to, pursue that, I'd ask that they set a meeting up to discuss that. Beyond that, I think
I
that's,
agree with you, because that's the way everything's set up,
yeah, that's
It's the way I work under.
So who writes?
Are they asking us to change this, or they're just asking or directing something?
Well, I was the only person at the meeting, Mary Beth. There was some confusion, so I would say they were saying that their view from the personnel policy is Mary Beth would write the person's performance review if there was a performance review for this position, and therefore the general supervision would be Mary Beth's. That was my interpretation, but we can clarify it. So
I think what we need to do is we need to just set up a graph,
An org chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
an organizational chart
We
with,
We have that.
We have that.
yeah,
Mhm.
so wherever it
We
falls
set it
under
up.
that organizational chart, that's where it goes.
So on the other side of the department, on treatment, you have the chief operator and the assistant chief operator. In their job descriptions, it says the assistant chief operator reports to the chief operator. So this is the same thing as the assistant distribution working foreman
Yep.
should report to the distribution foreman. And then the chief operator and the distribution working foreman are kind of like the two supervisors for the two divisions. They both, everybody reports to me, and I do, but those are like my two supervisors, like, that handle the day-to-day operations for me.
Do you have them do reviews for the staff?
No, because they're a bargaining unit, so they can't really, if there's any disciplinary that comes up or any personnel issues, they have to report it to me, and then I'm the one who has to.
that's probably why they do it.
Has to
So
institute all
in
that.
that case, the org chart can have them doing their duties and their work with,
Right.
under, as structured on the org chart, but from a performance standpoint, I have no problem with that because it's a bargaining unit.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
worded there so that the daily activities are directed by the foreman.
Okay, good.
Does that make sense, Mark?
What's the 11-8?
As long as everybody knows who they report to, you're good.
Right, it's the assistant is to the foreman on a daily basis,
Mhm.
except for this kind of performance review and disciplinary thing, I guess.
Mary Beth, I'll put these with the signed docs.
Did you vote?
Make a
Do we have to
motion.
vote? Okay.
Seconded?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At least let me get that out.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. And welcome back, Mr. Swayowski.
Thank you.
And water supply, let me get back to my document here. This will be this number 1. Excuse me. So, you're up.
Well, I can first report the water levels in all the wells have increased about 2 feet since,
I figured they probably would,
yeah, there's been a little bit of rain.
That's good news.
Yeah, so they increased around 2 feet since the beginning of September. That was good, and I believe you guys might have had some questions about our the way we've been taking drawdowns. Is this still, any other questions with the drawdowns?
Mark provided a really good document
I
a
gave it,
couple meetings ago,
yeah,
how the cone and,
explained how everything worked, yeah. I went back to my books on pumps and pump stuff and pulled a chart out and made it out for everybody.
Mhm.
So they could actually have a visual of what we're talking about.
Yeah, so not only is
Rob,
the,
it looked like just a couple of columns had got switched. And that was on one of the charts. That was the.
Want a copy of it? I have some extras.
So what I think what the confusion was, when I initially had the spreadsheet, when we fixed that, there was a typographical errors where they, well 2 and well 3 data was the same on some of the days. And then the other confusion, I think, was understanding what the numbers. I think some of the board members thought that the numbers should be flipped and they were in the different columns. So I had asked Mr. Swiniarski to provide the board, with an explanation of how we go about taking the drawdown and what so you understand what the numbers mean, because it's the opposite of what you would think. I think that's what the confusion was.
Well,
So I do have a question, and this is just pure ignorance, Rob, just because I don't know, okay? So, one of these sheets, I don't know which one's which, it's the first one I pulled up. It is for well number 5, 1, 40 feet deep, and well number 5, 2, 40 feet deep.
Yes.
So starting up in August, let's just say you had the second column, the dynamic head,
Yep.
and then the next one is drawdown in feet.
Yep.
So it's like 0.7, point whatever's. And then at 11.8, it's 15. Is that some kind of a summary, or did it just pop up there real fast?
Yeah, where exactly are you again?
Right here on?
Well done.
Yeah, these two. Just, it looks like the bottom numbers must be a summary of something, because they're like a lot different than the column. If that makes sense? So the second column where it says dynamic head,
Yep.
so it's, I'm sorry, the third column, drawdown in feet,
Yes.
it's like 15. That's like a whole number.
Yes, I believe that was corrected, was it not?
no, it looks like that well was actually now being used. It's
Well,
almost like...
5-1 has always been used.
Yeah.
Right, so this is, you're looking at well 2, right?
No, I'm looking at well number 5, dash 1, 40 feet deep,
Yep.
and the third column over in the drawdown in feet.
Yep.
It
It's
looks like it's a misplaced number.
Oh, it's an incomplete.
What's the date,
It's
Mark?
11/8.
11/8.
It's
11/8.
not
It's
complete.
today,
It's,
so that's,
it's an
Oh.
Is that 15 you
Oh,
got?
yes, these last ones, we have a new operator that we're trying to train, we sent him out to do it.
okay.
And we showed him how to get the first rounds, but he never actually went out and got the stag level. That's just that's Excel, just,
Well, that's today, so that's what I'm saying, it looks like it's just a
Yeah, there's a formula.
calculation, a formula.
There's a
Yes.
formula in the
Okay.
cell.
That's all you gotta say,
yep.
just a formula in there.
I see that.
It
I
just,
thought you were looking at the top.
the problem is if someone looks at this, you look at it and you go, what? It just, it's I call it an aesthetic. And the numbers are interesting to read as they go down, and they appear to be improving, I guess, with November. Is that a good way to put it?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, the static levels are up on that one, a couple feet.
11, yeah.
Each well has been around, increased around 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
All well 5, well 2, and well 3.
Yeah. And the static level is like the well at rest? Is that a good way to look at it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Pump is up.
That's where you start.
Static, okay, so 12, 9. So we have a little bit more to go to get back to the levels in August. Is that a good way to put it? We're close?
Yes.
Static 10 to 8, that's 2 feet. Static 9 to 7. Yeah, about 2 to 3 feet below, which considering everything's gone on and it's only started to rain the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. They come
No,
back very well.
Isn't it,
That's a nice recovery. Yeah.
they have recovered, because in August they were at 15 feet, so that's 0, then you're measuring down 15 feet,
Yes.
and so over time, that where the water level is has come up, so you
Come
subtract,
up since August.
so you subtract the August 25th number, or that's greater than the November 7th number, and the difference between them is how much water has actually entered into the well, because it's now closer to the surface,
Correct.
right?
I thought you were looking at the main page, which I don't know if that's included. There's a main cover page that shows you the static levels right after we, yeah, that's the one. Is that
Okay.
what you're comparing it to?
No, I was looking at this one.
Those are the best static levels you're gonna get. That was right after the well was cleaned and redeveloped.
Okay.
And it was also, I forget the time period I put on that, but was that the,
This,
it's the best the well's going to do,
Okay.
yes. And that's where we want it to.
yeah,
get
this
back to.
date's here.
Yep,
Right.
Okay, so this is like a baseline.
yep, and that static level is where we really want it,
Okay.
closer to that.
So, well, number 5, number
So-
1.
when you pump, the
So
less you're
level
gonna get
number
to.
5, well 1, ideally should be running at around 10.6 feet.
Yes,
And at the moment, it's,
around 12.8,
yeah. So we're getting there. It was at 15 before, which
Right.
that's 5 feet below optimal, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's coming back up.
Okay. Yeah, compared to the baseline, that's,
See, I paid attention to Mark's diagram.
There you go, that's why I did it. I get the whole book, it's about this thick if you want it.
No, I don't want it. My wife's already complaining about how much water department stuff is all over the kitchen.
I keep mine in the basement. All right. Any other things you want to highlight with this? Tell us.
I don't know if you've gotten a memo yet, but I typed something up for Mary Beth, because I'm concerned about well 3. It has nothing to do with the actual droughts, but more to do with the water getting into the well casing itself. And I wrote something up. It's basically, as soon as we turn the pump on, the water level drops. I think it's around 10 feet.
You think the screens are clogged again?
Yes, which is telling me that as soon as I turn the pump on, the water level drops around 10 feet. As soon as I shut the pump off, the water level regains that 10 feet.
Mhm.
If it was a drought, the water level wouldn't regain in the well. It regains within like 30 seconds.
When was the last time it was done?
It was done when we redeveloped it back in 2014.
2013.
So it's due.
Yeah.
I was here for 4
Is that
years
one
and it
of
was
the
done
ones?
at least twice.
Mhm.
It's like
Is that
every
one
2
of the ones on
years.
the list?
It's in the capital, yes.
Yeah, so that's what. Okay.
I just want to bring it to your attention that it could potentially just, no water can get into the well because the water has to go through the screen, which is getting encrusted with iron and manganese.
It's historically that way.
Okay. So do we have enough bandwidth to get by if that one starts really being problematic?
We do have other suggestions that we can do to get around it. You could always lower the flow, and hope, because what you're trying to do is prevent the water from dropping so low that it gets to the screen and allows air to get in there.
You don't have to cavitate.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so we could lower the flow, if it comes down to it. We could also try to shut it down for a couple of days and then just flush it out.
Mhm.
During this shutdown, we would also be chlorinating the well to kill off a lot of the bacteria, which is building a lot of the iron and manganese around the screen at the bottom. So if we shut it down, chlorinate it, and then flush it out, we should be able to increase it a little bit. It might help, and it's a pretty cheap and effective way.
Until we can get the cleaning done?
Yes.
Okay. But that's gotta wait till the spring, right?
Well,
Till
we-
the budget gets approved?
For the redevelopment of the well, but we
Mm.
could, we're going into the winter season, that would be a good opportunity to try to we could take the well offline and go through the process.
It'd be for a day too.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. So we can just drive that with Mary Beth?
Mhm.
So are there any other kind of chemicals-based solutions for kind of cleaning out the screen?
There is, but you would save that for the surgeon pump,
Mhm.
which is they have to take the well, not just offline, but they have to take the well apart, bring in a crane truck.
Mhm. There's actually
So
a
that's
whole
okay.
group that they work through to bring it all out.
Yeah, it's
All right, so there's
It's a
nothing,
big major
pricey,
project.
there's no do-it-yourself kind of, do-it-ourselves kind of thing.
Right.
Well, it sounds like the other things you came up with are gonna,
The chlorine we could try,
yeah.
and if it doesn't work, we lost the well for 2 days, and we just have to, budget for actual cleaning.
Okay, good. That sounds like a good, you're on top of it, which is awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome, thank you.
So what's your feeling on lifting the water ban?
I would wait until the state gives us the final word. I'm sure they're working on it.
Yeah, I'd leave it in place until they, I mean, at this point, the
I was
growing
just curious,
season's
see what
over.
his thought was, but
I would just, yeah, the growing
Mhm.
season's over. You know, a lot of people might have lost some crops.
they're actually having a meeting. They have it today?
It's around this time.
Yeah, they said today or tomorrow they're having a meeting, the state.
Yeah, I would wait. I'm sure by next meeting, they'll tell us something.
Because by our withdrawal permits and everything ends the end of September, I believe.
Yeah.
But we'll leave it status quo until the year. But it looks like at least the wells are, I don't want to say fully recovered, but almost where they need to be, and
Yep.
we're past the worst of it, I guess is the best way I'd describe it. And let's pray for a snowpack.
It's working slow. It's good, you know, they're not getting a ton of rain at once, and it's all just seeping in and building the groundwater up, so it's working
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Finally. Okay. Anything else?
That's it for now.
No. Nice job, Rob. Thanks.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
I know it was a little extra work. We asked you to start doing all that, but I think it's because of the critical time that we're in. So thanks for the extra work and getting those measurements and
Yeah,
getting that all done. That was,
Keep up the good work.
that was great. Thanks. Now, you gonna stay for the rest of the meeting? You gonna take off?
I'm gonna stay for a bit.
I'm just teasing because it's late and I'm sure you've things to do too. But I appreciate you coming to do that. New business. Discuss modifying the water treatment plant operated 2 job description from requiring a grade 2 treatment full, grade 2 distribution full to grade 1 treatment full, and grade 1 distribution full, or add an entry level water treatment plant operator.
So this came about, discussions during a previous water board meeting, that, we're trying to attract certain people, and, because of the classifications that are required for the licensing, it's a limited pool. So just like we created that grade 4 laborer's position on the distribution side to allow us to hire an operator in training, I didn't know if the board wanted to consider creating an operator in training position at the treatment plant as well.
Is that a union spot? We're
It
gonna
would
have to go
be,
through
it
the
would be
whole
a part of the bargaining unit,
bargaining
yes.
stuff?
Mhm.
It just adds to the layer of,
I mean, we'd be
Paperwork.
creating a position, so I don't think there would be an issue on that end. Again, Bernie and I would work with the personnel board and with the job description. It would basically be the same job description as it is, but it would probably be like a pay, instead of a pay grade 9, it would be a pay grade, the entry level is pay grade 4. And then
Now,
as a person
To
obtained.
work the treatment plant, they could work it with a T1, correct?
Yes,
Because
They
they're
can.
working under his license for the full.
correct.
So if it attracts somebody to come in here and they could work to build up to get to the T2,
Correct.
I think it'd be advantageous for us to do that. Just so we can get some people in here and start working their way up through.
yeah, in the private sector, I'd say I want a grade 4/9. And a 4 would be operating training and a 9 would be one with that document. In this case, we have to have 2 separate positions. Or
Yes,
we
when I was.
can't make it, have a range within said position.
No, we had the grade 6, the laborer's position that we had was a grade 6. And we, I forget how it came up, we had to create the grade 4 position to allow for that accommodating of the license, the operator training. And the understanding was that when the person attained the correct licensing, the ability, we would move that person up to laborer 6, but we wouldn't have laborer 4 anymore. There'd be no more entry level, we would have, because you can only have 1, because that would mean we would have 2 laborers. So we would only have 1, so that
What-
person would stay and move up.
The way I'm reading this is we wouldn't be adding a position. We'd just be lowering the entry level for the one position.
Well, you could, maybe I worded it wrong, but you could do like we did, we could have water treatment plant operator, grade 4 entry level, and then keep the grade 9 where it is, but do the same thing, have that position so that, let's just say we hire the grade 9 operator, there's a vacant, and another employee in the department leaves, and that person gets promoted, meeting the criteria to the assistant chief, or the...
I'll tell you what, I operate with regards to staffing with org charts, more graphically. What I'd like is an org chart. I think you have one, but an org chart with these, the current positions, and anyone that's not filled, put it as gray, so we can see that here's the organization, here's the ones that are filled, the ones that aren't in gray, and then show me another org chart with what you propose to modify current state to future state. And let's talk about that on the 29th meeting. Because right now, I really don't have a good grip with treatment 3, op 1. I need to see it as a roadmap.
Yeah, because it's, you'd think a 1 would be the best. And
To me,
4,
right now, it's a shell game.
yeah.
I feel like it's like, here's the P. No disrespect, but it's I need to see something much more concrete to have for my way to operate. Right?
And we already have, I already have the current staffing plan org chart, and then it isn't updated to include the labor of 5 that we just added, because the org chart that we have has a labor, so whether it's a grade 4 or a grade 6, there's only room for 1.
So update the org chart to make it reflect reality right now,
Okay?
and then what you're proposing.
Okay.
So I can see, A to B, and whatever the titles you need to put in there. And we can all be on the same, be looking at this, because the paragraph, while you speak the lingo, to me it's just, treatment 1 full, 2, 1, 3. I gotta see it.
So, it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm misinterpreting, we have a head count currently projected for running the water treatment plant.
Correct.
And we're below that head count.
Correct.
So we have a gap, and we need to, we essentially need a pair of qualified hands to fill that gap. And the
Correct.
issue is that a fully trained person, fully licensed person, or somebody in training, but it's still for this one headcount position. So if we bring on essentially an operator in training, we've filled the headcount slot, but we don't have what we would ideally like, but we can't meet the ideal. So it seems to me, I'm not against charting it out, but it seems to me as though we need that extra pair of hands. And you can ask Rob the question, but my question is, it sounds like you've got somebody new there right at the moment?
No.
So whoever took those
We
readings...
shot 1 position at treatment, right?
There's 1 position left
At treatment.
at the treatment, most
Which
of
is requiring a
Grade.
D2.
T2, D2.
D2, T2, okay? She wants to change it, that requires a minimum of a D1, T1.
Right.
Which is a lower grade,
Yeah.
but they can work, but they have to be a full operator to run the plant, correct? You can't be an operator in training to run the plant? Without
If
supervision?
someone else has to be there with them.
That's what I'm saying, without supervision, but a T1 can,
Correct.
full operator, correct?
T2 plant.
Yes, they
A
can.
T2 plant can do, a T2 operator can run the plant by themselves.
Okay, but a T1 can't?
No.
Yes, because they need to be
With-
1 grade lower than the primary, which is Rob, so he's a full grade 2, and they can come in as a full grade 1 and can. The full status allows them to operate. Of course, obviously, this is a grade 1 operator that has pretty much no experience, and the existing treatment plant operators would have to spend significant amount of time with this person, with the training.
That's why they're getting paid less.
That's correct.
That's why the,
So in addition, when you update your document, please add in your contract operation person, where they fit in the org chart, and put them off, and then just, I don't care if it's stripes on them so that they are They're not a clear box, they're not a gray box, we can see where they are in the whole
Mhm.
situation.
So what, the point I was trying to make, and sorry I took us off, is how difficult is it to actually train, if you've got a newbie, how difficult is it to bring them up? I'm talking to Mary Beth, so that's the question.
All depends on where they worked and what their experience
A
is.
grade 1 operator, if they're a full grade 1 operator, they really haven't, it's hard to say where they would be coming with their background, it's hard to
Mhm.
predict.
I'll tell you right now, I'm a T1 full operator. I don't have a clue how to run that treatment plant because I've never had the experience of having a treatment facility where I was working. Somebody else could come in that was working in a facility like this and has the experience having a full T1,
Right, but I guess the point,
so you don't know.
I understand you don't know.
Mhm.
The issue is what's the investment of of Rob's time, our time, in bringing that person up to speed? And I know that there's variance, because you don't know, but that there's a sense of saying you're essentially working with them almost 8 hours of the
Well,
day.
the optimum thing would be to hire somebody T2 that's already familiar with the type
Right.
of operation. But if you're not getting anybody that's applying for that job, you need to get somebody in here to give these guys a hand.
Right.
And if it gives them time that they have to bring them up to speed, well, that's what's gonna have to happen.
So I'm
You know?
I'm for getting the person in training. I mean, it just
So-
doesn't seem to, and I don't think we should delay it. I think we want to start searching sooner rather than later to fill these positions. I mean, I'm going on the fact that
I would
these other
do it-
people aren't
I would
around.
do it with a condition that if they were a D and T1, that they go get educated and take their tests for the Class 2 license in training as soon as possible and give them a time frame.
We got an item here on the agenda is to discuss modifying. So once we go through this and we modify that, do we have to have that approved by the personnel board?
Oh, yes, because if you're gonna, we'd be changing the job description, so
So-
we would have to go through the process.
By just asking you to put that stuff together, we're not gonna improve things much faster than, because once we go through it, we're still gonna have to do our vote, then we're gonna have to go to the personnel board, and so for adding 2 more weeks, I don't feel bad.
Bernie, do we know when the next personnel board is? Was it coming up early December? Or was it November? Didn't they, do you remember?
It's every 2 weeks, I thought, so it would be next week.
They're trying to, put all the water department job descriptions, final completion, get them done. Because they've been, as we all know, it's been hanging out there trying to finalize them since February.
Okay, so get that done, in the next meeting, we'll come back to it, and we should be able to discuss it and make a vote and move forward.
Should we come up with some kind of draft? Do you want a draft to take a look at, or do you just want the org chart? What would you prefer?
What do you mean, a draft of what?
Of the
job
of
description?
Job
yeah,
description.
Absolutely. If
Okay.
you, yeah,
We had to.
don't waste time. So give us the graphics so that we can talk about it, and we'll make any mods we have to the documentation, and then, we'll modify it, and vote it, and move forward. Well, all right, I'm gonna move on. Water Champion, discuss all water accounts are to be metered, including all town buildings. Earlier this year, when we turned things on, the town, some people were upset that we were asking them to pay for the water in various places, and so we sent a memo, I think in August, Mary Beth, or was it September, to the town departments that next year, there's no more free water. I mean, it costs us money to make water. No one's gonna pay for it. And so that everyone's gonna have to budget for it. And the budget season's coming up, and we've notified everybody, we've discussed it earlier. We sent a memo out to everyone, I think in August or September. And that in the future, like Town Landing, the fields, wherever else,
In cemetery.
cemetery,
the
if you
gazebo.
use water, it will be metered, you will be billed.
Yes.
Our budget just does not have the room to accommodate, a few $1,000s of giveaway water. It's just, those days are gone when we were just pumping it out of the ground, putting a little chlorine in, it's one thing. It's now running through a $12 million treatment plant, and it's not prudent or fiduciary or responsible for the board to be just handing out water. I apologize to everyone if that's upsetting, but it is a business. It's a town business, and it has to be accountable to the ratepayers, really. It's everyone that's paying for the water. If we give the water away, they are literally absorbing that cost. And again, people are very sensitive to the rates. We've said we'll try and hold the line on the rates. You know, we've done it for 2 years. We're going to try and do another year where we don't need to increase the rates. So that's the reason. Anything else to add on that?
No, it was just, we had, it was this citizens inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
We put it on the agenda just to let
Mr.
people
Rolfe,
know that,
if I'm right,
Yep.
inquired
that
about
all water users on the public water system are metered.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a town department, town building, town-owned facility, they're all metered.
Is that a statement of where they are, where we are right now? So everybody's got a meter. We can charge them.
it. Not everybody's
Usage.
getting a bill, but everybody's is metered.
Correct. So everything is metered, but we were not charging.
Okay.
We are charging. So everything's
Mhm.
metered and we are charging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
Okay, so. Okay.
Starting in fiscal 18, because we wanted to give town departments a chance to budget for
mm-hmm.
something that they weren't normally budgeting for.
Right. Okay.
It might not even be a bad idea to send out a reminder memo, you know, when people start to put their budgets together.
Correct. Yes, I plan on doing that because if you also remember, the water board also gave, is going to be increasing the hydrant maintenance fees. And so we sent out that memo to the town departments. Remember you'd worked with?
Right, we backed up, we backed it down by half.
I think to give them a chance to, because of the timing, their budget had already been turned in and approved. And so the board agreed to keep it at the same rate, but asked me to send a memo to the selectmen on your behalf, letting them know that in fiscal 18, here would be the fee. So they had a whole, yep.
I think we want to revisit that too, and just see what that fee is. I can't recall how much it was, but
That's around, it's $53,400 is what the town pays now. It will be increased to 72,000 and something, around there.
before we do that, can we bring that back up to the board on an agenda item for next month, next meeting, the 29th?
When we do the budget,
Mm-hmm.
it will be, it's in the budget, so with that number on the revenues tab, when I give you your budget, we can do what you want, we can pull that out, line item, but it is gonna be part of the
Yeah,
budget discussion.
let's make sure we discuss that, because I'm not sure if we,
Because that will be an important number to discuss, because that is revenue, and that will affect the bottom line on the budget.
yeah, absolutely, but I think we need to make sure we're sensitive to that.
So along those same lines, is it difficult to send the other town departments who are now going to be billed a kind of a rough estimate for how much, based upon their usage, how much the bill on an annual basis would be? So if the cemetery is using 100,000 gallons a year, then that will translate into about a $2,500 bill, $2,500 bill for the year, right?
I don't know, because I'd have
But-
to
so
run the
in other
usage of
words,
the,
Just give them a heads up so that they know what kinds of numbers that they're.
well, they get a water bill. It tells them what their usage is, and it tells them what the usage is on the water bill,
The town departments?
yes.
So, yeah, but
Does it translate into a cost?
I don't get the water bill, so I don't know what it
Okay,
looks like,
perhaps.
so I would have to pull those and have Penachuk run a manual calculation through the block rate structure if it's not in there for dollar amounts.
Right.
So when we do the budget, let's look at that.
Right.
Okay.
So you want me to
Town departments billing.
Yeah.
The ones that don't
Yeah,
get
just
billed
to-
now,
I mean,
because the
I
ones
think
that obviously
it's
do.
to be as
they know what
helpful
it
to
is.
them as we possibly can, so that, if we suddenly switch on the billing, it's not a complete surprise. They already know what it is.
Anything else on that item? Okay. Number 3, approve the webpage, which Mary Beth has up. Want to scroll down through that? Or?
Sure. Just mind you that this has not been updated. It needs an overhaul in general since August. So we had immediately put up on the drought, on the homepage in the center, a link to the Massey warning notice that we received. This is the first one. We did not, I got a second notice, but I was unable to get it on the webpage. There's my favorite picture. The terrible one, but it's just,
I'd like that off as soon as the first thing we do.
and then, well, again, see, it's back to, this should have already, this should have already been off. But the page, but I haven't had been able to, but this is the whole recap of the treatment plant. Going into the water ban. Oh, we had the job positions, we were trying to put the job descriptions, you know, this needs to be changed. That's that's the one we usually put up when we have the
Is
water
there
ban.
any other resources you can get to, or reach out to any other town departments, get a web person that we could pay them to do an update?
Well, the administrative assistant does the webpage.
Right.
So we haven't had an administrative assistant in 2 months, so that's why there's no updates.
So this is Kathy will be doing this.
This is Kathy's job, is to go in and take care of this.
And my assumption is you know how to do web pages?
I know quite a bit about it, but I'm not an expert.
No, but will you be able to modify this, do you think?
Yes.
I do, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The previous administrative assistant had absolutely no training in web page at all, and you saw what was happening, transformation. So it's the program that the webmaster or whatever it is. It's pretty self-explanatory.
What software are you using, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's
So the first thing, though, if you go up to the top, is get that go down a little bit. Get that picture and that stuff out of there.
well, yeah. When we finally get in there, yes, this all has to come out.
First thing, just get that out and then put it back up and then finish the rest of the stuff. But I want to get that out of there. That's gotta
It's
go.
negative.
Yeah, that's over and done. I want that put to bed.
Yeah. And then we scroll down, and then just, this is a flyer that we prepared about every drop.
Mhm.
Every drop counts. The water quality report link. The emergency information. I did notice, it does need to be realigned. When we put in this, it shifted everything. So it's fixable. But,
Mhm.
and then we had been proactive, with the incidents in Flint. So we went ahead and put in anything we had on the lead in the drinking water in town, and some links to the American Water Works and the EPA, our office hours, and then about the drop box. That's the
So our
homepage.
office hours going back to normal now?
Our office hours are going to be Monday through Friday from 7 to 3:30, and we break for lunch between 11:30 and 12:30.
Okay.
And then just our contact information at the bottom. And on the side over here, we just have it's just a picture. Then this is the Go Green, the paperless billing. This is a link to drinktap.org. It's some information on drinking water. That's our leak detection results. But it's last year's. I haven't been able to get August on there, so we'll be putting August. Just about online payment link. Just a quick link to the water board meetings. I love this newsreel. This is the 1948 newsreel of the installation of the water system, so we keep that there. And then this is your menu here. So pay bills online. I'm not going to click any further because then it takes you somewhere else, but this is pay your bills online. This is that, and then this is the fee schedule, where it has all of our fees and the water rates, and then some payment options, which is some helpful information about documents, about the options we have for payment that we put up there. How do you go about getting a final read? Because that's important. And then This was kind of something I came up with on a, how do we process your water bill? Because a lot of people, we had that time period when everyone had all these questions, so I tried to address all those questions in a one little PDF to put on the webpage, so we have that there. So that is the fee page. Our cross-connection control program, some common cross-connections, definitions, some do's and don'ts, about the residential survey, and this is a click on the picture, this is our actual, our department's regulations that we use, and then I just put some pictures. I actually like those pictures. These were pictures that they had when we had that meeting with the Board of Health, and I thought those were some good examples in their flyer, so I kind of sort of took them and put them on our page to give people an idea.
Okay, that's enough for now. I mean, we can walk through the rest of those.
But I'll just go, just go through the thing, your water board, your gender, anything on the treatment, distribution, picture gallery, water quality reports, our mission statement, the policies, the water conservation, educational, kids corner, any forms you might need to download, important links, our budgets, which is very important, and our contact information, direction, and then a link to the Town of Raleigh's webpage.
Yeah, that brings up, I'm gonna step back for a minute. One of the things we do with policies is we put a box in there is when it was done, was in effect the last time. Do you know what I'm talking about? I've had
Oh, your
added
version
to all those.
control.
Yeah,
Yep.
I want that on the job descriptions.
The date, see the bottom in the footer?
Yep,
That's the latest date.
yeah, but I wanna see it as the version control. That's fine, it's in the footer, but I wanna see the version control box to look just like the policies.
Okay, well all right, so I will have to talk to
Going
the
forward.
personnel officer about that, because if we're gonna be adding that to a job description,
You're not adding it to the job description.
So,
you're
all right,
adding
where
it
am
to
I
the
putting it?
The bottom of the document.
that's what I mean, is it gonna be printed out as part of the document?
It's, yeah, and that's okay, it's version control, whether you have a little thing there or you put the one there. Because what I want is to know every time this has been touched. That tells me point in time, I don't care. I want to see that box, version control, when it was done. The next time, if it's been 5 years or 2 years or 1 year, and if we do it 3 times in a year, that will give me the history. And if they have a problem with it, they can call us before the board. I don't think they will, but put the version control in there, starting with all documents going forward.
Okay. So, just so you know, I'm only going to be able to provide you with dates that I've been involved.
That's all I said, going forward.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that
Mary
part.
Beth.
I'm sorry, I missed that part. That's
She's
good.
trying to find more work for
Army of
herself,
people,
that's
yeah,
what she
yeah, yeah, right. No, going forward, and starting with
is. This one.
starting with those two, and everyone that comes before me, I wanna see version control on it. And again, yeah, it seems like a pain in the neck, but a board 3 years from now will be able to look back and go, this thing's 4 years old, or it's been updated 3 times, or it's a good, best practice to do with your, that kind of documentation. Thanks. Webpage. Discuss video security system at 401 Central Street in the water treatment plant. So we are part of the SRF with the security, I believe, was to put in some video surveillance in the buildings. Yes, no?
I'm sorry, I was writing a note. I'm sorry.
Item number 4, discuss the
Yeah.
video security system at 401 Central Street in the water treatment plant.
Yes,
So that was part of the SRF money to put the video surveillance in.
correct.
Now, with respect to that, what's it gonna be filming?
What's it going to be filming?
The entrance, the building, the inside?
So, all right, at 401 Central Street, we have exterior cameras and interior cameras.
Mhm.
The exterior cameras, there are 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and 1 on each side.
Okay,
In the interior of the building, there's 1 in the entranceway, there's 1 in the first garage bay, and there are 2 cameras in the last garage bay.
and this is all SRF money?
Correct.
Okay. Now, what's the schedule is gonna be done with regards to filming? 7/24, does it,
24 hours a day.
and it keeps it for 1 day, 5 days, a week?
again, we haven't had any training on the system, so I don't have the answer to that question.
Okay.
It's not up and running yet,
Mhm.
so we're still in construction.
Is it installed, or?
The cameras are in, but they're not up and
Cameras are
working,
in.
so we're about maybe 85% completion.
It's catching.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're still working on it.
Where is the video monitoring going to be?
The monitor for all of the cameras, including the access to the security gate, will be on a flat screen monitor mounted to the wall in the administrative assistant's office.
Okay, who will have access to that?
The screen,
Yeah.
anybody walking through, it's just the screen.
But, I
Viewing the
mean, who
cameras.
has the access to see, to go back and look at a tape or a view or something or whatever?
It's in the server room. The equipment is in the server
Yeah.
room, it's not a locked room.
You're gonna have a desktop that's gonna, if you wanna look and say, oh, I wanna see camera number 5, tap, 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 tap. Who's gonna have that?
There is, to my knowledge, there is no,
There will be, so we'll need to talk about the security of that. There's a huge situation with regards to privacy laws in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that we need to make sure we do not run afoul of with regards to video. Where that's secured, who has access to it, we're gonna have to have policies and procedures surrounding that, so to make sure that we adhere to the state of Mass privacy laws. That's one, so security, access, number 2, and then 3, notices to people that there's video surveillance, 724 video surveillance. We'll need to have those signs up before this is turned on.
that's what I explained in my email, that I'm currently, it's in draft form, an SOP on the security system, and researching the proper signage, so I mean, we're just in construction, we're not, so I'm working on all of that right now.
Okay, but just FYI, that's gonna have to be vetted and approved before that system is turned on. I just wanna make sure that that's clear. I don't want that thing turned on until we have our policies and procedures reviewed and approved
By the board,
by
or,
the board, and we may need to go to legal on that. I wanna make sure that we do not run afoul of any privacy laws. That's
I agree.
well, from my dreaded private sector work, that's what I'm bringing forth here. That's enormous. And that goes for here and for the water treatment plant where you guys are. Will there be another set of controls there? Will there be a server there?
it's
like
a separate system, yes.
Yeah, what I'd like to see is some documentation and schematics about where's what. A picture with location of the cameras and where the server is, and then how you access it. You may need to get that from the vendor.
You want a set of plans?
Yeah, I want to know just a picture and where all the cameras are located, where the server is located, what storage is being used, and then I want to review the security of said equipment. Like not only it's a physical and logical, the physical security of the servers, and then the logical, meaning who's got passwords, who's got secondary passwords, access to this stuff. It's a big deal. So I'm just, we have plenty of runway to do it, Mary Beth. I'm just saying, that just came up in a discussion outside of here, and I realized, I have not addressed that, so I just want to get on the agenda to start doing that work.
So I'm not gonna be able to have this completed, I won't have it completed, I could tell you, by the 29th meeting.
No. Did you hear what I just said?
I thought you said you wanted, so,
No, I said we've got plenty of runway to get this done, but the system's not to be turned on until we have done our due diligence and done our work.
okay, so the clock is ticking, and part of the contract, we have to have this project done by December 31st. In order for the contractor to complete his task, we have to turn the system on, and he has to provide training. So,
Okay, so there's
do
the,
we have a
there's the
process?
timeline.
So that's why I'm working on all these policies and working with the security company to, make sure this is all, but there is a time, I am under time constraint because we have a contract with the company.
The vendor should be very well aware of all this stuff. If you bring it up to them, they should be able to give you templates to use and
Yeah.
guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't rewrite it. I think they'd have it, and you should be able to recycle what they have.
I'm on top of it.
Yeah, they shouldn't be surprised at all when you ask these questions. So, all right. And again, that goes for, same for here, same for water treatment plant. It's all, I'm very concerned about where that stuff is being controlled.
Would you like another copy of the bid specs?
Yep, since I don't know where mine are. So, to be honest, it's big. General business. Before I move on, I got a clarification from someone. Last meeting, we were talking about the road going into the water treatment plant. I think you had told me it had to be 20 feet wide. That I got a correction from the fire department that because it's a sprinkled building, it only has to be 16 feet wide going out to the treatment plant. So I want to make sure that we communicate that accurately to Weston and Sampson and whoever else is involved with the engineering. So the requirement is actually only 16 feet from the center line versus, or the width of the road. It doesn't have to be 20.
So you only want the road to be 16 feet?
It's not what I said. The requirement is that it only has to be 16.
Right.
The requirement is not that it has to be 20. So if they have a space where they can only do 16 feet, that's okay. So they don't have to put a 20-foot wide corridor there. If they have some areas where it's only 16, that's okay, or 18.
Well,
That's my point.
Is there any other stakeholder that's specifying any other width? I mean, that's the fire department. Is anybody else?
No.
They would set the determination.
Well, then that's the
Yeah.
dominant.
And the only reason is because it's a sprinkled building. So,
Well, that's good news, right?
I would prefer the road to be 20 feet wide the whole way in.
and
The
if
purpose of the 20 feet is to leave room on the sides of the road for pedestrians, the horses, the baby carriages, to allow safe passage of the vehicles.
right, and that's what I said, is that it's not required. You can ask them to do 20, but if they can't meet 20 in a couple spots, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to do this, you have to do that. It's just that there is an allowance in there that 16 is the mandated minimum, not 20. That's all. You can request the 20 and say that's what I want, but I don't want to see them spending money to put in riprap and a culvert and this, that, and the other thing to just do another couple of feet. That's all.
I believe I
Save some
mentioned
money.
that because the building was sprinkled, that
Mhm.
normally it's 20 feet, but because the building was sprinkled, it doesn't have to be 20 feet.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we were
Yeah.
very clear.
Yeah.
That's all. Okay. And general business, water superintendent's report. Now, this is the capital budget we went through last time, and we had kind of
Yeah, so when I was
reviewed this.
preparing the spreadsheet for your budget books on the capital, I was reading over to make sure that it was no typos and all that, and then I realized that I had forgotten to include the 10-year Paul membrane filter replacement program. If you recall, those filters need to be replaced in 10 years. The total cost is about $450,000 or so. And we have an article that we were going to be adding $21,000 annually to this, so that when the 10-year time frame came, and I forgot to include that, so I've gone ahead and added it, which raised the request to $303,000 for capital. If you choose to agree with that, I would ask if you would vote on that to allow the $21,000 for the Paul filters.
Yeah, you remember this. Were you here for that conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of putting them on the shelf, we're gonna do it that way.
So,
Putting it on the shelf wasn't feasible.
It just wasn't a good idea.
so if it's 450,000 and it's 10 years, why isn't it 45,000?
These are numbers that came from the engineering company. We set aside $21,000 a year. We would have enough money in the time period to replace the filters.
Well, we'd have
No, I thought this was,
210,000.
I thought this was there was some, we were putting the money aside every year because there was a certain number of the filters had to be replaced. I forget it in the budget book from last year. We had this whole discussion about why this was the approach versus buying them. Do you remember we changed the approach from buying the filters and storing them?
Correct. So what we had originally done, based upon information provided, that we were going to purchase, we put the $21,000 originally in the operating budget, and obviously, operating budget money is use or lose. I found out when we did order some of the filters that they have a shelf life. So purchasing in the operating budget filters every year, by the time we went to use them, they would have been expired. Plus, they came in these crates that were the size of a beetle bug, Volkswagen car. And so if we're gonna do this over 10 years, we don't have the storage for that.
But I thought I recall that we weren't doing all of them all at one time.
I think I know the answer to that. I think what we're gonna do is, each year do 6 filters, which would amount to 21,000. And there's 60 filters in total, which would be 10 years.
That's, yeah,
That's what the
I knew
plan.
there
that jives. I knew that,
I knew there
like I
was a
said, that
reason.
was in the
Yeah.
budget book last year.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
So
So-
we'll add, that's what, the adding that, we'll add to the existing article that was already approved at Springtown meeting.
Right, and what we talked about is, like Rob just said, is that
Yeah.
it's a rolling situation, not a all
You don't want them
60.
all at once.
No.
Yeah.
No, well,
It was either that or having to come up with the $400-something thousand in 10 years and just put a lump sum. This way, it's a gradual, we gradually do it, and in the 10 years, that shouldn't, it won't affect, it's not gonna affect the rate.
we'll just do it on a rolling basis.
Yep, every year.
Well, so now I'm confused again. So why is this not, if we know we're going to replace it on a regular basis, 6 filters at a time, why isn't that an operating cost?
Because the filters have a working life, filtering the water of 10 years. In 10 years, we will be doing a complete overhaul of the plant, replacing all the modules. The board voted back then to decide to put away annually the $21,000 for the filters, in setting it aside in an article, gradually over the course of the 10 years, so that when the 10 years were up and we went out to bid to replace the filters, we would have the money, it wouldn't affect.
But what he's saying is, that
that
you're saying it's
so Rob just-
450,000, and this would be 10 years, it'd be 210,000.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, I just know that the number is $21,000 is what we voted to tuck away for the next 10 years. I'd have to look at my budget book from last year to exactly what it was, I don't remember.
So Rob, when you said we'd put aside 6 a year, you didn't mean replace 6 a year, you meant put away the money for it.
We can't buy the filters and store them and just keep them around
Right?
because they have a shelf life.
Yep.
So what we're trying to do is, I don't know how our budget works, but what we're trying to do is kind of collect the money and keep it to the side. Because right now they're brand new, so we
All right, so,
don't need to
okay,
start.
so we're not replacing it, all right, so then that's fine.
But
So I don't have a
in 10 years
question.
from now, we don't want to surprise everyone. But,
Right, so then so I misunderstood what you were saying, I thought you were replacing 6 at a time over
Not
the 10 years.
at this moment, but
Right.
When they
okay.
start the process, and I'm just subjecting, maybe 2 or 3 years before end of life, you'll start that process.
Yeah, okay, well then we're fine. So it's
Just
just,
like anything
so we
else,
just
you
need
could
to-
have one go bad on you.
so
at anything.
Mary Beth, I just think we
So
need
you have the money to
if
take
this
care
is, if the 21,000, you're comfortable that that's the hard number, then that's fine.
Yes,
Okay.
You want a motion for this, Mary Beth?
please, yes.
To support this capital
Yes,
expense?
yes, with the act, so I can add it in officially.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Next item. Oh, surveys completed? I was gonna ask you earlier. How is that going?
So I think we're up to, total of surveys is 134, residential cross-connection control surveys, people that have both town water and wells. It's actually going really well. The part that takes the longest is, we need to do the notification, reach out to the resident, make the contact, and, schedule the appointment around, their convenience.
So this says there's 10 active violations?
Yes.
What's the motivation for them to fix it?
I don't have the survey sheets or the backup, this is just the overall, numbers of where we're at. I would have to go back and pull out those sheets to see what it is.
Well, didn't I recall 15 Isabel Circle, didn't they just come off the town border?
So, if you look on the list, it was 73 Boxford Road. It's listed because it does have a cross connection, so it's not gonna leave it's still gonna remain, as far as the regulation, as an active violation, because there is the potential for the cross connection there. So regardless of what we went through, there is. The only way there will not be a violation is if there is a complete cut and cap at the water main. This isn't gonna affect this resident or anything, but as far as how we run the program for record keeping, this is a record keeping, to keep track of it.
Okay. I'm not sure the next person's tonight. Next item.
What you have in order of your package? John?
Town of Raleigh sales report.
Okay, so, you have in your packet the, sales report, we just had the, and what we have is up to date for, October, which is actually, remember, your September, usage, it's a month behind. So we have seen, a decrease, we saw the conservation efforts finally started to, come through. We sold, approximately 5 million gallons less of water in fiscal 16, from fiscal 16. That equates to about almost $200,000 lost revenue as compared to the previous year. In fiscal 16, we sold 8 million gallons of water. I can't read my own notes. And in fiscal 15, it was about, I'm sorry, fiscal 16, we sold 8 million, and then this time around, it was 5 million. So it's about a difference of $131,000 lost revenue.
So, with regards to the conservation efforts, if we are selling less water, are we having the cost to produce water? We have a cost to produce that water.
Mhm.
Is that going down as well because we're not selling that 100,000 or that million gallons, whatever it is?
I don't
5
have
million?
those numbers in front of me.
Okay.
I mean, you would assume so. I mean, it's making less
That's kind of the analysis I'd like to see. If we could just, look at last year, this year, and just what's the cost to produce the water and what the, it shouldn't be, it's not going to be the same.
And what criteria would you like me to use to calculate the cost of water?
We don't know what it costs to produce the water.
Do you want to include electric, manpower?
No, the cost to produce the water is just say, if we sell 10 million gallons, what are our expenses for that month? So let's just say in September, we sold 10 million gallons.
Mhm.
What was our operating costs to produce that 10 million gallons?
Okay, so if we may be using chemical that we purchased in June,
It doesn't matter. It's still a cost. We have expenses or average it over a quarter if you need to. Take a quarter and average it.
all right,
I'll
so,
have an off-the-line conversation about how to do the cost accounting.
okay, so normally when someone asks me to tell me how much it's cost per million gallons to treat
Mhm.
the drinking water,
Mm-hmm.
and you use electricity, fuel, and chemicals.
Okay.
So,
Okay, if that's your
that's what I would normally do to,
Okay.
to calculate the cost per million gallons of chemical.
And so what I want to see, and you guys, we'll have some discussion here, but I want to just see since we're selling less, and we know what it costs to produce it, again, it's not going to be a $1 because, some of it is fixed costs. But, how much of a revenue hit are we taking? Or I should say, I don't want to say profit, but it's the wrong word, but, it's the amount of water we generate, the cost to produce
the
it, and
net
then we
revenue?
sell it. What's the revenue impact? Again, it's not going to be one because you've got fixed expenses, but I just want to see what that delta is. Does that make sense? Bernie, do you know what I'm saying?
No, I understand, it's the
Yeah.
net revenue impact. So you just want to
Right,
back
right.
out of the lost revenue or add back in there the savings on consumables like electricity, chemicals, etc.
Mhm.
So I don't think, so if you've got a number, you've got a rough number of cost per million gallons, then we can get to a rough estimate of what we're
Well, you
talking
already
about.
had, I already provided the board with that information a while back. We had the information that was provided to us in the leak detection, in the leak report. I
Mhm.
gave you a copy of that spreadsheet with the, looking at what the average cost, but if you're looking at wanting to know specifically,
Yeah, but I had a problem with the leak report because they were that was a revenue lost calculation, and that's not what we're looking at. We want a net revenue impact, which means you take the revenue lost and then you look at what you saved basically in terms of the fact that you didn't produce this water. So
Because of
I think
conservation here, we get 6
the
million
discussion
gallons
should go
less.
offline.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got 6 million gallons less. I just want to know, are we going to be high and dry with regards to revenue? Because again, there's fixed costs for a lot of this. Whether you produce 1 gallon or 1 million gallons, a lot of it is just fixed. We don't need to go there, but I just want to get a rough estimate, like Bernie said, of what's the revenue impact with the conservation efforts that everyone has clearly done here.
oh, it's huge. I'm gonna have to go through and look at my programs and the budget. If I continue to spend, and what was given to us at town meeting, voted at town meeting, I would have overspent. I won't generate enough revenue unless we make it up somewhere else. I'm already looking at the budget to cut expenses internally to make up that difference of that deficit of 200. That I'm going to have to do that anyway. So, and that's huge because we only have, I think it was $950,000 to operate of the expense money. Everything else is the fixed costs that go along with running the department. So I don't have a lot to begin with. So I've already been going through and looking in what I can cut out.
Right, but my recollection from the last set of numbers is there was a huge revenue gain in July and August above and beyond what we planned for. So I think we want to kind of set up a series of calculations and look where we are. I would be hesitant to kind of start making any drawing any budgetary conclusions until we see what happens in November, because then you can look back. Then we've got a regular month in where the conservation effort has kind of, at least in my house, it's kind of gone away, and we can see really where we are. So.
Okay,
I
so
think
let's bring it on for the next.
I think we'll still see the tail end of the conservation effort in the next bill cycle.
Yep. So I think
No,
November's
it
probably
may
a good
be.
time frame.
It'll be. But nobody's doing outside watering unless they're crazy.
Stranger things happen. Next item is lead and copper review summary sheet. So how are we looking?
This is, we received this overview from the DEP. It's just an overview. I thought the board would want to take a look at it, the lead and copper program, the summary sheet, what we found, the action limits, the 90th percentile, and what's required of the water department, what we have to follow up with. Everything that's checked, a checkbox, we have to make sure in order to be in compliance, that we've completed everything that they've said we needed to do.
So the first one is sampling results for the lead compliance for the period, and they do like 20 samples in town.
Yes.
So lead and copper, the action level is 0.015, and we're in the 90th of 0.0014.
Correct.
That's outstanding. And copper, the action level is 1.3, and ours, again, is in the 90th percentile, 0.32 milligrams per liter.
Correct.
That's good. That should be comforting. And then school sampling results. I'm just going to read this paragraph to people. that there's an additional requirement for community water supplies with every sampling round unless the school children facility has its own well. These 4 diagnostic samples are in addition to the minimum number required, and the results are not used in determining the 90th percentile for lead and copper. These samples are used to educate the school district or facility on the importance of lead and copper sampling per the Mass DEP. The result of the 2 sampling sites, kitchen and drinking water source, such as a water fountain, for each of the 2 school facilities are summarized in the table. And the places are the Bright Beginnings Daycare. Their lead came in at .0010, which is way under. Copper .3, which is even less than the rest of the town. And the Bright Beginnings Daycare, the other sampling, it was the same, .0010, and .50 milligrams per liter for copper. And again, the action item is like 1.3, so well in standard, and it looks good. Parker River Preschool, the same .0010, .0010 for the 2 places, the kitchen and the fountains. And then for copper, again, .63 and .094. So those are excellent numbers, and people that are using those facilities should take comfort in that.
So let me just understand what we're looking at here. We've done the sampling and we forwarded the data to the state, and then they're just presenting us back our own data. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes.
We collect samples.
Right.
Yeah. But I wanted to read it so people
Yep.
that are watching can understand. That's good news, Mary Beth, especially with the flood situation, and our kids are not exposed to. I wouldn't even call that exposure. You get more breathing in.
So why, I thought all the schools had to get tested. Where's Pine Grove?
We have a sampling schedule, and they were not on the sampling schedule for this round. I'll have to look at the sampling schedule, they might be next year.
The prior round, if I recall, they looked good too.
Yeah, it's on our webpage.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, it's out there.
So, I mean, is it a material cost to, because how many schools do we have in town?
5 or 6?
Yeah, it's the Montessori's and
Something like 5
Mostly
or
the-
6.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like 5
So
or 6.
is it a material cost to do them every year?
No, we just have a sampling schedule that is set forth by the Mass DEP that we follow. The schools can get water samples on their own. If they want to sample for lead and copper or other things, because they're a school, they can do so
Yeah,
themselves.
samples were done, Vern, if you go back, the whole thing's out there. So these are just the
No,
most,
no,
this is the most
I
current
understand.
round.
I
That's all.
understand. I think, given the sensitivities on these issues, if you kind of preempt it, basically say we're doing the maximum to protect everybody, even though statistically it may not be necessary, then and it's not a material cost, then I don't see for six schools why we wouldn't sample 100% every cycle.
Because then we'd have to then absorb the cost of doing all that testing, whereas this, we just send it to the state.
Well, that's
They
why I
run the tests
asked
and-
how much
It
it
does cost
costs.
us a little bit
Yeah.
to
Well, but
get
what's a little,
samples.
what's a little bit?
I don't have the paperwork on me, but it's still what the laboratory charges us to actually run the sample
Yeah,
for
we have
us.
to pay.
And we have done, they've done, reasonable, I mean, it's like within a year.
No, I remember
So
seeing the
not-
numbers because there was a decimal place out, but
If I may, if the board would like us to sample the schools every year, I would suggest that we do not do them during the compliance period, that we do them separate and independent of our compliance samples.
I'd want to look and see when the last time they were done, and I think it was within a year.
They were done
so,
in the summer of 2015.
yeah,
It's every other year.
yeah. And there
There
was
was no
nothing there
lead.
that, if I thought there was anything there, I mean, the
Right.
kids are
I mean,
drinking
we're-
there too.
Nothing's even close.
the whole system
Wasn't
is
even-
is
Yeah.
clean.
And I just assume keep it with the state schedule with all the different testing you have to do. They give you a schedule to follow, and it's very easy to follow. So you go outside of that, then you get confused.
Well, it's just, it's getting done, and it's good, so,
All right.
okay. That's that.
So are there any, I mean, it looks like we're doing everything that they've asked us to, right? Is there any,
No, we are. If we didn't, we would be in violation, so.
so this is 100%, this is an A+ report card?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's a gold star on the flag. All right. Anything else in the superintendent's report, Mary Beth? Is everything in the folder?
Just want to let the board know that on Thursday this week, I know that two of the commissioners well, the Raleigh Fire Department, Mr. Emery happens to be a commissioner, is our emergency response all-day training. So the office will be closed on that day. We will be here in training. It's a very rigorous,
That's tomorrow, right?
No.
it's Thursday.
Day after.
Oh, we're coming tomorrow. Somehow we get the
Well,
date mixed
there
up.
won't be any cookies tomorrow. They won't.
Well, you guys can figure it out.
That's gonna cause a
And
problem, because
snacks and lunch.
I have appointment scheduled for Thursday, so that's an issue.
So, that is scheduled. I do have, I did receive a copy of the agenda today, but I just want to let the board know. So, that's the annual training, so that we can be prepared during emergencies. It's kind of nice, we go through the incident command, we run the mock scenarios, and last year, it went very well. A lot of input from everybody. We had the highway, working with the water department, we had the fire department, this year, conservation will be attending, a representative from Board of Health will be attending, at least 2 police officers will be attending this year.
Well, can I, if I understand what Mark just said, he's thinking it's Thursday.
No, I was
You
thinking it
think
was
it's
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
We're
It's
all
not
coming in to work
available.
early tomorrow morning to come to
So-
class.
So,
So I don't know how it got screwed up.
so that sounds like there's a rescheduling needed.
Oh, no, that's me yes, it's tomorrow. Sorry.
Oh, because on my,
I know, I apologize, my mistake.
all right, so.
It's tomorrow.
so
Is it
every-
tomorrow?
Use the blue ones next time.
That's what the agenda says, November 9th.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But who
Yeah.
put the agenda together? Them?
No, Tater and Howard,
So
All right,
we are coming tomorrow.
you are coming tomorrow.
Okay.
all right.
That would be why I had them get the extra table so that we can
So it's
set
no
up.
cookies is the real issue.
There will be cookies tomorrow, and whatever else snacks we have.
I gotta say, because there'll be a little rescheduling problems
Yep,
Yeah,
sorry,
if
I
it's on Thursday.
apologize.
All right.
That's all I have, Mr. Manning.
All right. And then suggestions from the board for future topics. Anybody have anything? And if you don't have it tonight, just get it to Mary Beth to add on. And we'll get that turned around. Accept and approve the
So what's the
minutes.
cycle for the budget? Budget books and all that kind of stuff? When should I start?
Not ready. Still working on it. It could be 2 or 3, 4 weeks before I have that ready.
Okay, all right.
So accept and approve the minutes of October 25th. I don't have any issues with them.
Look fine to me. You all set, Bernie?
Yep,
I'll make a motion.
seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. And October 31st minutes was a brief meeting. It was to sign the contract for the small water systems.
Looks pretty good to me.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Good.
Motion adjourned?
So I have a question about, you've got these, is there a way of just reading through these things? I mean,
They're just contracts from other cities that have outsourced operations. That's what those are. And if I can get the other one uncorrupted from my email, there's a third one I'll get to you too. But this just helped Mary Beth with some of the work she's already done, really. And I don't know if you have a chance to go through these and get
Well,
any
the-
other tidbits.
I barely had time to print them
I was
out.
impressed. I was impressed that you printed them. That's awesome.
right, but this is so dense, I guess the issue would be if there's a kind of a cheat sheet for what to look at, what to look for.
Well, all right, so I gave the water board that 1 or 2 page
Right.
document that says about our system and what would be required. So I guess when you're looking at those 2 documents, kind of sort of look at that as like the guide as to what remember, there's gonna be things listed in those contracts that don't even apply to Raleigh at all. You know, so it's gonna be, if, I haven't had a chance to look at, I don't know, if they only have pump stations, their requirements are going to be less than what we require. You know, if they have, 400 miles of water main, 3,000 gate valves, it just depends.
Okay.
And a contract company bidding on that is gonna look at those numbers and that's what they're gonna bid on, because they're gonna be able to understand what the level of effort means to maintain the size system that we have.
All right. Okay.
So before we do, I do call the roll, the warrant for the special town meeting, who wants to do which one?
We've already,
I thought we'd.
Did we already do
decided.
that? I'll
Yeah.
go back and look at my notes.
So
you're
you
doing
get the hot
the-
potato.
yeah, you're doing the hot potato, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the one for the transfer of funds for the DEP and
And I'm doing the 27,000 for
yeah,
the.
the hot tub.
Okay.
And Chairman Manning, are you doing the one on the,
The bylaw.
Yes, so just since you mentioned, so we have had, the warrant, as you guys know, you must have gotten it, or will be getting it shortly, it has been mailed. And in the warrant, which, the town included, what was gonna be the changes, which is included, the potential, during state emergencies. We've been getting a lot of, people with questions about the bylaw. Just-
Yeah, I've gotten 2 calls at home. I've returned the calls and played phone tag with folks.
We've had a couple people come in. One of the concerns is the farmers, but we had looked at the existing bylaw, just so that you know, there is a section in the bylaw that says exemptions. You can't possibly list all of the exemptions, but what it does do is it leaves the blanket open. Again, if somebody was to come before the board, you would be able to offer them an exemption from the bylaw based upon what they told you, so we
Well,
do.
anything that we've been getting from the state has been automatically exempting agricultural for business
Exactly,
Yeah.
and livestock, and so that's not a concern.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
but this particular gentleman did have that concern, so.
I'm glad they're asking ahead of time, though.
Well, it is good, because it
Yeah.
is good to get your answers, before, but it won't affect any farming operations, agriculture, livestock, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Anything you make your living with, that doesn't affect.
Yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.